digital currency, like digital Chinese currency. Why? Because frankly, our central bank has been slow, and there's an appointment coming in January of 22. The president's got to decide whether to change over who's leading the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve runs our payment system, and I think we need to move that Federal Reserve into the modern era.
Currency debasement, right? And the currency debasement is why Bitcoin goes up. Inflation is usually happens alongside it.
Is it?
It's not in the sense that you can have the currency continue to debase and lose purchasing power without having that inflation number spike to 9%. Right? And I think that's what we really saw here was we saw inflation spike over 9% during the Biden administration.
So what do you think it should be? 5%, 6%, 7%?
I tend to think that the inflation rate is not 2%; it's higher than that, but it's not going to be 5 to 10%.
Do you think the Fed goes along with that? If they start to see inflation picking back up, wouldn't the Fed then raise rates, and wouldn't that have curb inflationary economic expansion?
Well, one of the biggest questions I think that we're going to face as a country is how involved should the president and the executive branch be involved in monetary policy. Donald Trump has said that he thinks the president should be more involved. We obviously have had a situation where
you think inflationary stuff and then saying we're going to keep rates going down, interest rates going down is the right policy?
I don't think that you can keep rates going down if inflation is spiking. And so I think that's where you get a lot of complexity. And it's not as clear in terms of when inflation is spiking, what do you do to get it down?
And by the way, the bond market isn't paying attention to the Fed lowering rates at this point anyway, not on the long end, not even on the short end at this point. But the 10-year is all the way back up at 447. So there's only so much that any administration or any Federal Reserve can do.
Yeah, one of the things that's really interesting about policy is you kind of draw, the perfect playbook, right? You're like, hey, this is the theory of what could happen. But then that plan meets the real world. And so you can try to do all
like
these
Tyson,
things.
right? You can do all these things till somebody punches you in the face.
Yeah.
What if that person punching you in the face is the bond market?
Yeah, listen, I think in the short run, right, the emerging market currencies, China are getting hit. You're seeing it today. I'd probably be a buyer of Chinese stocks on any dip because I think the Chinese are going to respond with a big stimulus package. Elon Musk was really the only person on either side during the campaign that talked about America going bankrupt, that talked about this giant deficit that we have that we need to do something about. If that's the case, if they actually take him seriously and do something, and Bess had alluded to it, that would change things, right? That would change things in yield curve. It would change things in gold and silver. I don't think it will happen. I don't think Donald Trump has it in him after having just got this mandate to say, oh, I've got to tighten my belt. I just don't see it. I don't see us, Social Security and Medicare really are the two things you'd have to go out and attack. Really unpopular politically.
And going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on and on.